And just like magic, all these wonderful people appear on my screen. Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
All right, Mayor. It looks like you've got all 8 council members. You are live and you're recording, so you are good to go.
We're ready to go. Thank you, Andrew. That being the case, why don't we go ahead and call our meeting to order? If I could ask everyone to please stand for a moment of silence, and then we'll ask Councilmember Lusby to lead us in the pledge to the flag this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, David.
Sir.
Ms. Hoffman, can we dispose of the roll call since we have electronic?
Yes, sir.
confirmation? Okay, thank you. Each of you should have a copy of the minutes from our last regularly scheduled meeting, if you'd like to look those over for any possible corrections or additions. And
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we accept those.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Tammy. And there's a second. That's going to be a tough crowd tonight, I can tell. Okay. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Thank you. Then the minutes are approved. Each of you should have also received a copy of our latest check register if you've received that. Thank you. Madam Clerk, do you have any public comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Item 6, mayor's comments. Yeah, I've got some tonight. I've had a number of in earlier meetings, mostly informational comments, and I've got some of those just to keep the council up to speed on various things in the community, but also want to go through some thoughts with the council on what's going to be coming your way in the very near future. We have a kind of a heads up about what's coming so that we can always anticipate those things as best we can. But first, if I could say that so far your road department has done a good job. Josh, I assume you would agree with that, that Public Works has done a real nice job with the ice and snow events that we've had so far. Talked with Robert today, and we've got, for the new council members' benefit, we kind of transitioned our Public Works fleet, or our snow removal type fleet, over the last 5 or 6 years. We got rid of some older, heavier dump trucks that weren't in that good a condition, as a matter of fact. And we've transitioned those to what we consider a light duty, or 1-ton pickup that can still have some fairly heavy duty equipment put on it. And then we bought interchangeable bodies that can be changed to a flatbed truck, to different uses. And in that way, we're at the point now where we can actually put 11 different small snow plows on the road at one time, if circumstances dictate. we don't have the real heavy equipment like county government does, but for our municipal purposes, we think we've got the fleet that matches what our needs are pretty well. And JR indicated that we're ready to go if Wednesday to Thursday turns out as bad as we hear that it might turn out that way. Also, I wanted just to draw the council's attention to a promotion you probably have already seen about downtown, our downtown merchants. Love Your Downtown passport event that's going on. It's a really nicely promoted event for the downtown merchants that runs from the 6th of February through the 20th. And I wanted to highlight it tonight because it gives me an opportunity to remind the council and update the 2 new council members on the nature of that relationship. When some of this group and I took office 6 years ago, Georgetown was a Main Street community. And we had some difficulties with our Main Street program, and we ended up collapsing our Main Street program. And instead the council worked out a partnership between the city and tourism to market downtown in a relationship that is known as Celebrate Georgetown. You may have seen some advertisements in that name. And they've done, Laurie and her staff have done, I think, a really good job of getting the downtown merchants on one page in terms of advertising and promotions and things of this nature. So you'll see in our budget each year, we have an allocation to the tourism department for $40,000. And that is the nature of what that allocation was for. We used to give that money to the Main Street program to perform the downtown promotion function. We reallocated those funds over to tourism. And I think most of the downtown merchants would say that's been a pretty successful thing. So just another way for background for you, and be happy to answer any questions after you think about it, and if you want to follow up on it at all. What is printed on our agenda is the budget preparation schedule. And again, for the new council members' benefit, for that context, council has an in-place ordinance that requires that the administration bring a budget preparation schedule to the council for approval each year. So Stacy puts that together for us, and we work with the finance committee, and we put in place the dates when we'll have certain documents to the council for your consideration, when the workshops will happen, when the finance committee meetings that relate to the budget will happen. We give it all to you in a formalized format to conform with that ordinance. Now, that particular planning document and the timeline that it lays out is for the budget year that will begin July 1st, 2021. I think what most of us are actually waiting for, it actually seems kind of premature almost for us to start talking about the budget year that'll begin 7/1/21, given that we have had so much focus on the current budget year and where we stand and how we can revise the budget in a way that better reflects what our experience has been over the last half of a budget year. And so that we can just do a better job of projecting where we are and where we will be. We've been really excited about doing that, and we will have that information for you at the next meeting. I think Stacy will be able to present that updated budget first reading at the next meeting.
Yes, that's lovely.
Good. So long story short, council is going to be getting very busy with financial matters. You're going to get ready to receive a lot of information and data. Obviously, with the budget update, we'll be restating revenues, and we'll just end up with a much clearer picture of how we end this budget year, which will help us anticipate the beginning of the coming budget year. So I wanted to give you an idea of, in addition to that budget, what else is getting ready to come to you. And there's a lot of things that the council has been working on for about a year now. That would not be as long for Willow and Greg, but you should anticipate that we're going to bring you at the next meeting an update of the financial analysis that we presented to the council last winter. It was about a year, just over a year ago, when we presented that to the council, and had begun a pretty robust discussion of that analysis and had presented it to a number of different community groups when COVID stopped us from that particular process. And we kind of went into an emergency budget mode, and we completely shut down that process, which was unfortunate. I think at that point, it was accurate to say that the analysis had been pretty much accepted as correct, at least on the council. We didn't have questions about the nature of the data or the way the data had been interpreted. We thought that that was valid and the methodology was valid. But we knew that that data needed to be freshened. It's now a year old, particularly where we compare ourselves to the salaries of other cities with key positions. So we freshened that information, and we've made the presentation just updated. We knew that a year ago, we knew that that had to be a foundational piece for the type of discussions we were getting ready to start on. We wanted to make sure that we had solid facts and well understood data in front of us about what the city's needs were and the way we would approach those needs. So working from this data, we were able to draw a number of conclusions about the way we deliver services, especially relative to other cities. We established, as you all know, you've all read the study, and I've encouraged all of you to refresh your memory of it. We selected a number of peer cities that we compared ourselves to, and we also looked at 20 years of our own history. What we know from that analysis is that we don't have enough police officers for a city of our size, and we don't pay them enough. We know that we don't have enough firefighters for a city of our size, and we don't pay them enough. We know that we have a number of deficiencies in the way that we fund some of our departments, and we also had presented at that time some different scenarios that the council had considered on what it takes to correct it. We can work with our chiefs and we can anticipate, or we know what additional headcount they need for us to meet what we know is our number one obligation to our citizens, and that being public safety. We also have prepared and will bring you, along with this financial analysis, updated financial analysis, a list of specific cost-saving efforts and initiatives that we have identified. Some we've undertaken to resolve, some we started conversations, but we know that we have an obligation to our citizens to make sure that we've looked very hard at our own house. And we will bring you that report at our next meeting as well. We also want to show you with this financial analysis a plan that will achieve two key things. Number one, it will complete the salary structure implementation that the council began late last year. Council made a significant step forward in helping first responders and, in fact, other city employees as well. But we knew then that we left a significant salary gap in place. And we've updated that for your all's information. We'll be able to evaluate that again. We want to bring you a plan or show you a plan that will let us complete the salary restructuring that we need to do to keep our officers and firefighters here, to draw the best talent that we can and be competitive within our market. And then to begin to address the headcount issues. We know it's not practical to overnight or in 1 year, in one budget year, add 15 additional police officers or firefighters. It's just too big of a task. But what we will show you are some financial projections that show us hiring 5 additional police officers in the coming budget year, 5 additional firefighters in the coming budget year, and 2 additional public works employees in the coming budget year. And then we're going to extend that financial analysis out for a full 3 years to show that we can add 5 police officers per year and gradually get to that 15 number that we need to be. The same for firefighters. And by that point down the road, that target will have already moved and we can reassess it then because that's the target today. And we know we're always trying to play catch up, being the fastest growing community in Kentucky. To complete these salary changes and to hire the additional headcount that I believe is vitally important and is now time for us to pick back up this initiative. Obviously, we're not going to bring you a list of cost savings that is great enough to cover the cost of what I just described. We have to make an effort at that, but we know that we'll fall short. At our next meeting, I intend to bring you a proposal to increase the insurance premium tax in Georgetown from its current rate of 5% to 8%. Again, a proposal to increase the insurance premium tax from 5% to 8%. Some history for some of the council members probably lived this. I was not mayor at this time, but there was a time in the not too distant past when Georgetown's insurance premium tax was 7%. And the council lowered it to 5%. I wasn't on city government then. I understood that it may have been a part of maybe a later effort to raise the payroll tax that did not materialize. So the rate was 7%. It was lowered to 5%. When we did our analysis and compared ourselves, our peer cities average is 8.19%. Of our peer cities, we are tied for the lowest. There are 3 cities that have a 5% rate, and we are tied for lowest. The average of our peers is 8.19. We're going to suggest that increase for the council's consideration. We have a timing issue. It had been my intention to bring you the financial analysis and update that understanding prior to this, but we have an immediate consideration that I have to consider and have to bring to the council's attention. If it is our intention that revenue from the insurance premium tax increase be available for our new budget year of 7/1/21, the time at which we hope to complete the salary increases and give our departments the opportunity to hire this additional headcount. If we intend for that insurance premium tax to take effect on July 1st, we have to have notified the State Department of Insurance of this raise by March 23rd for it to be able to take effect on July 1st. So we have a time constraint. I wanted to bring it to your attention tonight. It's not on our agenda. I can't debate it with you. I'm sorry. I can give you, this is Mayor's comment, so I can give you as much information as I possibly can. So among the many financial considerations that are coming to you will be one that has a timeline. And Andrew and I and Stacy will be looking at the calendar. We could do this on a regular council meeting that would be scheduled if we could do this for a final reading on the 22nd, but that's too close to the wire for something on the 23rd. I may ask the council for a special meeting sometime in March to finish consideration. This proposal, this idea, this possibility of the insurance premium tax increase has been something that is not probably news to the council. Certainly is not news to the department heads that we've been talking with funding. We also have something else to bring you that is equally important and equally significant. And we'll be doing all this simultaneously. We won't be asking you for action on everything simultaneously, but we just have to begin some of these, building the understanding and making some presentations so we can start a good conversation. But we are going to bring you a presentation about what it would look like if Georgetown changed from a net profits tax to a gross receipts tax. Obviously, in that scenario, the rate would go down significantly. It would just be a totally different tax structure. What our presentation, I've told you some of this before, what our presentation will show you is that our net profits tax as it's applied today is unbalanced and unfair. And it's particularly unfair to employees, and it's unfair to small to medium-sized business. Those folks are paying significantly more than what their fair share should be. And I would like to see that reapportioned. I'd like to see it more equitable. And I think there are ways that we can do that. I think you'll be intrigued by some of what I learned from this presentation. When you learn that of all the wages, of all the receipts collected under our occupational tax, 74% has been paid by workers. The payroll tax, as opposed to the net profits tax. It's been very heavily weighted in that regard. And it is, I think, unconscionable, the net profits burden that we put on small business. It can be done in a more fair way, and we look forward to having that conversation with you at the same time we're having these others. That is a bunch of information, and it is a bunch of expectations. We've had a couple of really fairly easy agendas without controversy, and I don't think that I don't know that we're immediately going into controversy. I know we're immediately going into things that we need to discuss in real detail and provide you with the information that you need to start with these considerations. So that's what I see in our next couple of weeks. We're going to be very busy between now and the beginning of a new budget year, but especially this opportunity that we have to take the first year step of a multi-year journey to get our first responders salary structure and headcount aligned correctly. So I'm really excited to restart this and bring you all the best updated information that we have so far. I know Devin advised me that I can't discuss this at length, but we always talk about mayor's comments. If there's some questions, I'd be glad to take those, or if there's any comment. Some of this your finance committee has seen and has helped develop, and some is still emerging to them. But there's been a huge amount of work, and it's pent up, and we're really pleased to be at the point of releasing it to you.
Mayor, I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I probably won't go into it so far that it violates anything we're supposed to be doing here, but a question on, since the state now has said the landfill will be done in October. They've given them a close date of October or a stop taking trash date of October, somewhere in there. In your budget considerations and all this, talking with the finance and all that, have you started talking about other avenues for us trash collection?
You know, in the background, Karen, we've been talking about that for some time with Judge Covington as they've been working through their lawsuits and their back and forth with Central Kentucky Landfill and Hauling, and its negotiations with Rumkey to build a transfer station out beside our public works facility. And we don't know exactly what our solid waste disposal will look like, but we have talked to folks in the market enough to know that the market is going to take care of us at approximately the same rate that we're at right now. We think that should the worst happen, this landfill be completely closed, that we have other options within the market that can handle our solid waste streams for about the same prices we have now.
But are you talking about, when you're talking about that or saying that, are you talking about that as privatizing or as keeping it with Public Works doing it?
Right now, keeping it with Public Works doing it.
Okay.
And you know, in our cost saving stuff, we've looked at privatization of our sanitation. Right now, it's paying for itself. At the rate structure we have, it's paying for itself. And we're able to give, I think, a level of service that the private company may not be able to.
Possibly. Mm-hmm.
Help somebody, or if there's a set out, we help them. And it's so we aren't pushing on privatizing that yet because it's really not a cost savings thing. And
Okay.
Any other questions about all that? I really look forward, Stacy and I look forward, and the finance committee to bringing you some of this analysis. And it's going to pick up just exactly where we left off. And hopefully we can move forward with some solutions.
And Mayor, one thing, if I could, one thing that in the finance committee and Stacy and yourself need to look at is that CDL drivers They are somewhere in the neighborhood of, the last number I heard, 500,000 to 600,000 drivers short for the transportation industry. So that's one of the things that we really need to look at is if we do have people that do have CDLs, be it Class B or Class A, we're going to have to look at upping the money, because right now there's companies out there that's paying over $20 an hour that can't get drivers. So that's really a tough sell right now.
Yes, sir. Good point. Okay. Every night, I promise, Mayor's comments won't be that long. I'm going to make Stacy do this. Item 7 on your agenda under City Attorney. Council is aware we've been working on a small cell tower ordinance, and Devin and Andrew have worked with Linda Ain, who is an expert in utilities, I guess. And she's helped craft this. It's gone to planning and zoning twice. They've had a public hearing on it, and it comes to us with a recommendation of planning and zoning. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor. They actually, it was a very interactive process. All the potential providers were able to provide comments, and we worked with them to come up with a final product that honestly works for everyone. And I think it's a productive exercise. So this is coming at the recommendation of the Planning Commission. It has incorporated recommended edits from providers and other commenters.
Yeah, Mayor, if I could I ask a question, please? Or is it too soon?
No, please go ahead.
I just wanted to ask Devin, after reading through that and at the end, if the Planning Commission passed it unanimously for it to come to council with some concerns, those concerns that they were talking about, have they been worked through okay?
Yeah, and Joe Kane went ahead and incorporated those. They were very minor, but one of their concerns, for example, was a situation where they didn't think that the Planning Commission should necessarily be the decision-making body. They tried to really narrowly determine when staff makes a decision and when the Planning Commission makes the decision. So they remedied that, and the version in front of you has incorporated all those recommended changes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Unfortunately, council still does not have the right to stop a tower from going in a specific location. We knew going into this exercise that the extent of our authority was going to be very limited. So we think we've maximized it to the best of our ability to give you the best ordinance that you can have. So we're doing first reading, Devin, is that correct?
That's correct.
Then Ms. Tracy, would you like to do first reading?
Yes, sir. An ordinance adding a new section to Article 2 of the Georgetown, Scott County zoning ordinance regarding the regulation of small wireless facilities and small cell towers. Summary 1, provides for the regulation of small wireless facilities and small cell towers, states the purpose of the regulations, cites authority to enact the regulations, covers general terms for interpretation and application of the regulations, and defines terms used throughout the regulations. 2, establishes the option for a pre-application conference between the applicant and Georgetown Scott County Planning and Zoning staff, as well as others interested in parties such as utility providers, the owner of the right-of-way or property on which the infrastructure is proposed to be installed. 3, provides that prior to application submittal, an applicant must obtain a franchise with the City of Georgetown unless applicant already possesses a franchise from the City of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. 4, outlines the items and information required for a complete small wireless facility and or small cell tower application to be accepted, establishes fees for application submittal. 5, establishes framework by which staff and the Georgetown Scott County Planning Commission will process applications, outlines the location and design regulations for proposed small wireless facilities and small cell towers, and defines evaluation criteria for the approval or rejection of applications. 6, defines the requirements for approved plans for small wireless for repeal of inconsistencies, severability of provisions, and effective date upon passage and publication. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination in the City Clerk's Office, 100 North Court Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, or at www.georgetownky.gov. Introduced and publicly read for the first time February 8th, 2021.
Thanks, Jason. That will constitute first reading, and we'll anticipate second reading and roll call vote at our next meeting. Let's see, Devin, also under city attorney, purchase of property. We are bringing to the council and asking your approval of the city's purchase of the vacant lot at the corner of South Broadway and Clayton. The vacant lot right down beside Gar School at the bottom of the hill that was for a long time a filling station. And then, of course, the filling station was demolished years ago. This lot is right in the middle of a flood area and right in the middle of an area that can best be used, we think, to help mitigate flooding situations. It's not a long-term solution, but we think the city should own this lot. We came very close to someone having a viable development plan to build a multi-unit building on that lot. And while that would have been legal and could have been done, we think it is far more in the citizens of Georgetown's best interest that the city own this lot and incorporate it into a stormwater feature. The property appraised for $125,000, and the owner has agreed to sell it to the city for $125,000. We actually had been talking with this owner for some number of months, but did not want to bring it to council to consummate the purchase until we felt that financially we could do so. We now know what some of our end of calendar year numbers look like that Stacy will be bringing to you at next meeting. And in that amended budget, we will include the expenditure that this represents.
Mayor, what line item are you taking this money from?
Yeah, as I said, it does not exist in a line item now. It will be included in the amended budget that we're going to bring you.
Yeah, but where is it? Where were you anticipating taking the money from?
We have additional revenue.
Okay, all right.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Regarding the property itself, this was a former gas station. Has the city looked at phase 1 or phase 2 environmental studies? Or are we at risk for any type of contamination in the future? What kind of liability do we have?
Thank you, Greg. It's a great question. It's in fact one Mark called me with before the meeting. There has been a phase 1 and frankly a phase 2 and a phase 3. There's been a remediation on the property. So we believe that we can own it without environmental liability.
Is there anything, I guess you have documentation proof that would relieve us of any liability in the future if we crack that ground open and there's any kind of issues?
I'd have to defer to Devin.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm glad to hear that multiple council members asked it, but we do have documentation providing that the property is environmentally clear. And we incorporated that into the contract that, you know, the purchase was contingent upon that, and that has been provided. And Eddie reviewed the letter, and he's corresponded with the, I guess it's called the Kentucky Division of Underground Storage Tanks. I didn't know that
Right.
existed. But Eddie's been in touch with them, and they confirmed that the property is environmentally clear. So we're comfortable with the assurances we've been provided.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, those liability tails last forever. They're just for forever, and until we get that engineering certificate, and we should be in good shape.
Mayor, I'll make a motion for approval.
Mayor, I'll second.
Thank you, Connie. Motion's been made and seconded that we purchase the property. If there are no further questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Then that motion carries. Thank you. You have anything else for us, Devin?
No, sir, I think that's it.
Okay. Under city engineer, we have some streets to dedicate in Sutton Place, and Eddie's on with us. I think this is just a straightforward street dedication through the planning and zoning process. Is that correct, Eddie?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Good. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Motion.
I'll take the second.
Connie with the second. And if there are no questions for Eddie, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And Eddie, while we've got you on here, it'd be a good time for you to go ahead and address anything you were able to find out about the situation that Karen brought to our attention.
Yeah, sure. We're talking about the lot off of near the inner corner of Lemons Mill and the bypass. There's an apartment complex on the corner, and there's that open space lot that's being built. They had some temporary holding ponds for the stormwater runoff, and the ponds breached, and some of that water ended up in the backyards of the neighborhood to the rear of that. That has been fixed. We've talked to the construction company who's responsible for the development. So they've gone in and fixed temporarily that. And this problem will go away once all the roads and the storm drains and all the infrastructure that's going to accompany that lot is put in. So it was an unfortunate situation, but it's been addressed and fixed.
And Mayor, if I could say a thank you to you and to Eddie in particular for getting right on it and seeking out what the situation was and getting a report back to me so I could tell the citizens over there. So a very quick response. And so I want to tell you I appreciate that. And Eddie does a great job.
Yeah, Eddie does a great job. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you all.
Yes, sir. Let's see, item 9 on your agenda. I think Mr. Colson's going to cost us some money this evening.
Unfortunately, yes. Our ladder truck has been experiencing some off and on issues. We've been troubleshooting it. And ultimately, the root of the problem's been determined that the motor needs to be rebuilt, overhauled. And it does exceed 10 grand, which requires council approval. In your packet, you should have a memo and some the quote supporting the need for it. But this is a 2014 model apparatus. It had a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty out of the gate. So we've exceeded, we're outside the warranty parameters. With this rebuild where we're getting it done through a Cummins specialized center, it does give us a 2-year, 200,000-mile warranty once the repairs are complete. Does anybody have any questions?
For the benefit of the new council members, we go through a procurement process. We try and get bids. When we can't get bids, we'll try and get our policy calls for us to get 2 or 3 prices, at least get competitive pricing. This is one of those cases where we really can't do that. So we have the legal ability to declare that we need we're going to accept a single source situation. We picked the Cummings dealer that we knew could fix it for us. And we've gotten an estimate from them. We don't even have a hard bid. It's an estimate. But we know it's going to exceed, that estimate exceeds what our bid limit is. So we can't have the fire truck broken down. This is one way we wanted to bring it to you, ask for your approval of that expenditure.
And I was just going to say, Mayor, I'd like to add as well that our own individual city policy bid limit is 10,000, but the state bid limit is actually 30,000. So just to rest assured that we're not in violation of any state procurement laws with this, because we have chosen to set our bid limit lower.
Motion, Mayor.
Thank you.
Second.
And second, thank you, Willow. If there are no questions for Chief Colson, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Thank you. Chief,
Thank you.
give them the green light to go ahead and
Will do. Thank you all.
it's expensive when you break big diesel engines. Let's see, I believe we're at my favorite time of the meeting, and that's council comment. So I'm going to again go by how you are on the screen, and Karen, you're in the upper left.
Okay, well, I don't really have but one thing, and I'm not sure that it may not have already been taken care of. I had a citizen call me about the end of last week about two potholes in town, and it was on the corner of College and South Broadway was one of them, which I drove past that actually this morning, and I couldn't find the pothole, but I saw some patching in the road, so I don't know if that's new patching or not. But the other one was Main and South Broadway, and so I didn't see that. He said it was on the northbound side, and the patching I saw was on northbound. So it might have been taken care of, but I told him I would report it anyway. So it's College and South Broadway and Main and South Broadway. He said there was two potholes there.
That one on Main and South Broadway, Karen, seems like it's there every winter.
Probably.
It is going northbound in what would be the turn right lane.
Okay.
And it's pretty bad. It's a rut. It's so big, it's a rut. And we'll be glad again, ask District 7 to address it.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Mark?
That's it.
Question in regards to a topic that you mentioned to us in Mayor comments on the insurance premiums tax. You might already be one step ahead of me, and if you are, just disregard what I'm getting ready to ask. Just trying to see if we're looking, if the intent is to try to go from 5 to 8, will you have data to show what each percentage increase will, additional revenue that each percentage will, just to give us some numbers so we can look at this and maybe even some examples of what that increase would actually mean to an average homeowner or somebody that owns a vehicle, just to give us so we can make a good, sound decision.
Be glad to.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Anything else, Mark?
That's it.
David?
Mayor, it's good to see Stacy back with us and participating in the meeting tonight. That's certainly good. I just got word that Marvin Thompson's going to be heading home, I guess, this evening, if he isn't already on his way. So I think he and his family had a bit of a health scare this past week, but I think he's on the road to recovery. So that was some good news I thought I'd share with everybody. And I'm excited about the lot acquisition on the corner of Broadway and Clayton. I know Devin put a lot of effort into that, and certainly appreciate everything she did there, as well as Eddie. So anyway, that's it, Mayor. Thank you as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Willow?
I look forward to my first fire committee meeting tomorrow, bright and early at 8 a.m. So I'm thankful for Eric Colson and his leadership with that. And I have followed up about the charging station possibilities. I talked to Mayor Vandergriff of Midway, and 2 years ago, they actually were part of a grant program, and KU paid for everything. And they pay for the electricity, they paid for everything except the land to put the charging station on. Unfortunately, I've been talking to someone now at KU. That same grant opportunity has been fulfilled. It's no longer there, but there are some other grant programs that I'm going to talk to an official with going forward and see if we can't get that done at some point.
Good.
Thank
Well, thank you. Thanks for that follow-up. Greg?
Mayor, I'm going to make this easy tonight. Mark stole my thunder. He asked the question I was going to ask, so that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Todd.
Thank you, sir. The only thing that I've got is talked with Robert Bruin just a little bit ago, and the city we just got in 200 tons of salt. So we're more than prepared for whatever the rest of the year may bring us, but hopefully that'll be the last we have to buy for quite a while. So, but he said we're in good shape and ready to go.
Good.
And that's, go ahead.
It's still interesting to me that we buy that salt in a reverse auction.
Mm-hmm.
Just a concept that most of us aren't exposed to very often.
Yeah, it's a great cost saving, because I know that there was a city this past weekend that bought salt, and it was, I think I was told, around $140 a ton. So the price really goes up when you're not in that bid process. So
good, thank you. Tammy?
Yes, I just wanted to say I'm excited too about the property acquisition at the corner of Broadway and Clayton. I think I probably got more calls from constituents the last couple of years about potential development there than just about anything else that we've done. So it's good to know that it will be in our hands and we'll have some control over what happens there. The other thing that I wanted to ask about is I know that we're working hard on a sidewalk improvement plan. And I was wondering if I could, anybody could give an update about when we can expect to maybe see something on that.
I can speak to that. Thanks, Tammy. So as you know, we've been having this discussion for a while, but I have a call actually with Andrew later this week, a projects discussion, and that's number one on the discussion. I was able to talk to a contractor that does really unique sidewalk repairs. And oh, sorry. Hopefully the result of that conversation with Andrew will be a plan on how to move forward, potentially with that company and other creative ways to get compliance from citizens. Because as our ordinances read, the sidewalk maintenance is the responsibility of the citizen. But we want to do everything we can to provide citizens the opportunity to make those repairs in the most cost-effective way. So I don't know an exact timeline, but I can tell you that we're actively discussing it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That's all.
Okay, thanks, Tammy. Connie?
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, Tammy and David, but I feel the same way about the property that we've acquired. We're going to have some really good plans for that down the road. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about our plans of moving forward with what we're going to do with the city. So it's great. Other than that, thank you very much. Good meeting.
Thank you. I wanted the council to know this, the person who was most excited when we started talking about purchasing the lot on the corner of Broadway and Clayton was Eddie Hightower. He understands its value from an engineering perspective and thinks it can be a really beautiful corner if we do it right and fold it in right. So it's always good that the folks who actually have to do the work get excited along with you.
Yeah, it's a very exciting project. I'm really, really happy about moving forward tonight with it.
Good. Andrew, is there anything else to come before the council that you're aware of?
I think you covered it.
Okay, and Devin, we're in good shape?
Yes, sir.
And guys, thank you all very much. We'll stand adjourned.